Alright, so today we're going to be tying the GCRW, or the Green Caddis Rock Worm. It's a great nymph pattern. Really all throughout the winter months is when I fish it most, but it's a caddis larva, and it's in the water all the time. They're really everywhere. There's tiny little green larvae in there. This is a size 12 hook, and this is about the biggest you'd see them, all the way down to probably size 18 they'll get, or even smaller. But without any further ado, here we go. So this is really a simple fly, a simple nymph. I start off with just size 12 nymph hook, emerger, the curved, and then a bead head. I like to use the gray, grayish color beads, just because they're a little less flashy, but they do give it still the weight. And I mean, sometimes I like the copper colored heads, but I prefer this most of the time. So start your thread right behind the bead, and I don't put lead underneath the bead head for this fly because it makes it a little bulky up near the head, but that does make the bead a little unsteady, so you got to wrap up behind it really tight to make sure you get that the bead steadily in place. Then wrap down towards, down the hook bend. And I nicked my line a little bit there, but whatever. And then an essential part with tying this fly is getting a good taper on the underbody before you actually tie in what you're going to use to make the body, because it goes from thinner near the butt to thicker up near the head, and the only way to make that, and you'll see why, due to the material we're using, is to make a taper in the underbody. So, okay, so what we're using to make the body is this vinyl rib, medium size olive. Just cut a piece off there and tie it in up throughout the entire length of the body. And you do that because, or at least I do that because, then you get a consistent taper throughout the body and a consistent thickness throughout the body, because you want it to look real. And I wrap real tight towards the bottom because I do want it to be a little thinner near the butt. So we're wrapping it down. And then bring your thread back up towards the head. Then it's just as simple as wrapping this right back up towards the top. And a little bit before the bead, it's where you tie it off. So you got to wrap this pretty tight to get it to stay in place, just because it is so thick. So give it a good amount of wraps over top. Snip it off. And then to make this look natural up near the head, I take some Krysal Dub Caddis Green, so just some caddis colored dubbing. Put a little bit of that onto my thread. And there you have it. Wet finish it off. Screwed up a little bit there, but anyways, there you go. As you can see, it's a good pattern. I think it looks very realistic. It definitely fishes very well. So it's something worth having in your box. And the nice thing about it is that you can really use this pattern for any sort of midge that you would want to. So like, say you wanted to tie like some black midge, just get some black of this vinyl rib, or something that's white, some white vinyl rib, or whatever. and so that can work really well. And then also switching out your thread can be fun, just to experiment with different threads, because this is see-through. So it's a little darker because I tied with black underneath, but if you tied with white or if you tied with red or whatever, it'd give a cool tinge underneath. And then one last thing, some people like to stick a tail on the end here. You can do that with either some white or red green or olive of whatever material you choose for a tail, but that can also add something if you're finding that that would help if you want to experiment with it or whatever. So there you go, the GCRW Green Caddis Rockworm.